Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies, adults, teenagers, adolescents, and babies, you guys messed up. I was asked to do more live broadcasts for the Thunderstorm. I did it. I jumped on YouTube. I started playing around some stuff, and now I'm back. This will be a problem for a lot of people. It won't be a lot of problems for a lot of people that love me, but it will be a lot of problems for a lot of people that don't, because I have a whole lot to say. Some things never change. So, after a long day of doing what I always do, talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, talking about Christian hip hop, preparing for tomorrow's comings and goings, booking guests for the show, I got to looking around the internet for some ideas for things to talk about. Then I got a little tired. I said I was going to lay down. And right when I got ready to hit exit, right when I got ready to go to the top of the internet browser and hit the little X, I made a mistake. I hit that little square next to it and made something bigger. And this is what I found from the Associated Press. Latest, the NCAA hopes to avoid court fight on compensation. Now, you know that got my attention. And those of y'all that have been rocking with me for a while, and those of y'all that have been listening to me for a while know that that's something I've been speaking about for quite some time now. If the universities are allowed to put up these big facilities and build buildings and get these big checks they get from ESPN every single Saturday for college football, then the athletes who make this sport popular should at least be able to benefit from their own doing. They should be able to benefit from their likeness. Heck, we should get NCAA football back on ESPN, and these guys should get paid. Even better than getting it on ESPN and seeing these guys get paid for it, why not just bring the game back? Bring back the NCAA football game on the PlayStation or the Xbox if that's your weapon of choice. And to be honest, I honestly don't understand why some of y'all still rock with the Xbox. For me, I don't understand how Bill Gates can be so smart that he can create Microsoft, but he couldn't give us a video game system that we didn't have to use batteries for. By now, we should at least have these controllers without batteries. But that's beside the point. I'm getting sidetracked already. Just as I was getting ready to lay it down, ladies and gentlemen, I looked up and I realized the AP had posted something just today. I'm going to read straight from the site just so you guys can't say that I stole any of the information. So this is what they said, and I quote: Atlanta, the latest on the NCAA Task Force report on the feasibility of allowing athletes to profit from their names and images, all times local. The chairman of the NCAA Board of Governors says the association hopes to avoid a court battle against states that are attempting to pass laws aimed at dismantling the NCAA's rules. The NCAA board voted on Tuesday to allow athletes to profit from their names, images, and likenesses. But much work still needs to be done to determine how that will work within NCAA rules. Ohio State President Michael Drake said the board hopes that, quote, all who are interested in the future welfare of student athletes would work with us to get to that point and using reasonable processes to go there. I'm going to go ahead and stop because you guys get the point. Basically, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get college athletes to get paid. Something for a long time that has been known as illegal based on the NCAA and their rules. Something that makes some of you people think that these athletes are cheaters when they try to make themselves a little bit of money. Now, for those of you that have been living under a rock pretty much for the majority of most of our lives, NCAA athletes are not allowed to go out and receive compensation for things like autographs. They're not allowed to get paid for personal appearances. When 100,000 people show up every single Saturday to these games to see these guys, they're definitely not showing up to watch a chemistry experiment. The NCAA believed for a long time, and they brainwashed a lot of y'all into thinking that these guys are cheaters. We demonize these guys for making some money. Now, it leads to some predatory stuff. Now, we definitely don't want these guys in the middle of some type of function at their college institution and having some guy slide some envelope in their pocket, not knowing where it came from, who this guy is, or what he may want in return for it. But again, if the school is allowed to profit off the hard work of these guys, the guys should be able to make some money. If you're a student and you wrote a book and that book became a New York Times bestseller, that student would be considered brilliant. That student would be considered a genius. However, if he laces up the cleats on Saturday and puts on a pair of shoulder pads, he's known as a cheater. I disagreed with that for a long time. A lot of y'all agree with it. A lot of y'all think that there's a fair trade off, that they're getting an education for free. And for those of y'all who have made that argument, I've argued very successfully on numerous occasions. Won't take the time to do that tonight. But I've argued on numerous occasions that the issue with that argument is this: the cost of an education in no way equals what some of these student athletes are giving to these universities by way of television, by way of marketing, by way of merchandise sales, things of that nature. They deserve their free education, just like a lot of people who are on an academic scholarship. And they also should be afforded the right to go out and make additional funds if they decide to do so. Heck, do you realize that some of these guys have been in school for 4 years and they can't afford to take a girlfriend on a date? And you wonder why they accept money, things of that nature? You get upset with people like Luther Campbell, who I say is the king of the South, for going down to a city that he loves. There's a school there, if you haven't heard. It's called the University of Miami. And their football program goes by the name of the Miami Hurricanes. Luke has been a staunch supporter of the Miami Hurricanes for as long as I can remember. I remember the two live crew wearing the gear. And Luke, being human, couldn't understand why it was wrong somehow for him to give a winter coat to a kid who couldn't afford to buy one for himself. That's strange to me, but it does happen. So I, for one, Tim Tebow would disagree with this. I, for one, am a fan of the fact that these guys can now get paid. I, for one, am a fan of the fact that these guys can now make money off their likeness. I'm definitely a fan of the fact that the NCAA is starting to realize that this is a good idea. And people argue about the converse of this, the negative effects that may stem for this. Schools with more money cheating even more so now. What prevents a school or a recruiter or a coach from showing up at some kid's house with a briefcase full of money and just telling him to come to the university? Heck, that's what's happening now anyway. I won't mention some of the names because you have an image to protect. But let me say this and I'll close. Because, like I said, I was only going to hang out with y'all for a couple of minutes. But then when you get me on topics like this, I just get to going, man. So, this is what I'm going to say and then I'm going to close. What about the Fab Five? Is it because of this cheating? Isn't that the reason why the Fab Five's Final Four banners are sitting in the basement in Michigan? I'll be honest with you. Anyone that knows me knows that I have hated Michigan since I was at least 5 or 6 years old. There was one point in the history of my life where I actually found Michigan interesting and saw Michigan as something that I want to support. And that's when five freshmen showed up at the University of Michigan and decided to play basketball. They look like me, they talk like me, they listen to rap music just like I did. They seem like if they grew up in the same neighborhood I grew up in, we would have been friends. And for me, that's the first time I ever saw a basketball program do that. I love Duke University. Everybody that knows me knows that. But I have never in my life, ever, not one time has it ever happened, seen anything like the Fab Five come through Duke University. The Fab Five was special. The Fab Five changed basketball forever. The Fab Five were trendsetters, bald heads, baggy shorts. You do remember before they showed up, right? Basketball shorts look like panties out there. Stuff that you get out of Victoria's Secret. The Fab Five made college basketball cool. The Fab Five made a lot of people who wouldn't have watched college basketball watch college basketball. The Fab Five brought hip hop, helped bring hip hop to the mainstream. And everyone who was involved with hip hop, had a place in hip hop, grew up in hip hop, made money off hip hop, everything will sit there and they will agree with me if you sit there and ask them the same question. The Fab Five mattered, they were special to us, and I cheered for them every single time they stepped on the court, except for the two games I saw them play against Duke. Chris Webber, I salute you, even though he doesn't even want to talk about the Fab Five anymore. Jalen Rose, Jimmy King, Ray Jackson, Jawan Howard. They were special. So, Michigan, you can't tell me that this never happened. You can't think that just because you got mad at them, decided to erase their names from your history books, decided that what you wanted to do was you wanted to kick them out of your basketball program, doggone near your university, take the Final Four banners down, roll them up, and put them in the basement. You can do that all you want to, but you'll never erase the fact that they happened. They happened to us. They were special to us. And now, because the NCAA has finally come to their senses, they're finally saying something that's smart. It's time to pull those banners back out of the basement and put them back up. Michigan, I'm going to let you in on a secret. The reason that a lot of us don't hate you totally, unless you're from Ann Arbor or unless you went to the University of Michigan, a lot of the reason the rest of us can't stand you, because trust and believe, whenever y'all go against Ohio State, I cheer for Ohio State just because it's the lesser of two evils and I can't stand y'all. But I and anybody else who's hip hop will sit here and tell you, we supported you one time, and that's when the Fab Five was there. And they deserve their banners back up. Don't you dare tell me that they didn't exist and that we should forget about them just because you erased them from your history books. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all. Tune into the Thunderstorm. Tune into my Philadelphia Eagles blog, Bird Gang Weekly. You can find it pretty much everywhere you listen to podcasts. You can find it on Google Podcasts. We're on so many platforms, I can't remember all of them. Search for us on iHeartRadio. Search for the Thunderstorm or Bird Gang Weekly. Bookmark us on Spreaker, Spreaker.com. Use the Thunderstorm Media. Follow us on Instagram. The IG is Thunderstorm Media. And for some reason, Twitter's mad at me, but when they get mad at me and they unsuspend my account, you can follow us there at Storm Sports 66 and at Storm Radio 66. I'll be giving y'all the updates as when I get out of Twitter jail. And don't forget to bookmark us on most of you guys' platform of choice, Facebook. Bookmark us there. Thunderstorm Media. Appreciate y'all. God bless.